Welcome to the Real Lost Boss podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode 48 of the Real Lost Boss podcast. Everything you need to know about Mounjaro. Yes, the weight loss injection that seems to be everywhere at the moment. It feels like everyone is on it. I'm feeling a bit left out, not being on it. Everyone isn't on it, by the way. It just feels like that at the moment because obviously, as I record this podcast, we're a few weeks into the new year. In the new year, every Tom, Dick and Harry wants to go on a weight loss journey. And it has boomed. It has become really, really popular. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram / Facebook Reels, both those platforms, their algorithm learns what you like to watch. And if you're like me, you like to watch weight loss content. I watch weight loss content to help continue professional development, to improve me as a coach. But because I watch a lot of weight loss content, TikTok and Reels know that, so they push a lot of weight loss content my way. And all weight loss content at the moment, how many times can I say content, seems to be about Mounjaro. People taking it, people promoting codes so you get it cheaper, people flogging products that they say you should take alongside it. Now, I'm going to talk about everything I know in this podcast about Mounjaro specifically. I have done another podcast, episode 35, where I also talked about weight loss injections, but I don't think I mentioned Mounjaro because when I recorded that, which was over 6 months ago, it wasn't actually that popular. In that podcast, I talk about Saxenda. That was kind of the first popular weight loss injection in the UK in 2022. And then Ozempic became quite big in 2023. And I think that's still the most popular one now in the US. And then, 24, it is all about Mounjaro. Now, you might think I'm going to be biased because I'm a weight loss coach and I've got my own plans. That isn't the case. And I'll tell you why. When Saxenda was about, I had clients on my plan that was taking Saxenda and I was coaching them alongside to help them on their journey. I've done a few clients on Ozempic and I currently have 12 clients on Mounjaro. Why would someone come and do my plan and pay me as a weight loss coach when they are taking what seems to be this miracle drug for weight loss? The honest answer is it isn't a miracle drug for weight loss. It is a tool, not a cure. And from the beginning of my online coaching career, I have always promoted support tools to my clients for them to put into their lifestyle that will make it easier for them to control their calories and stick to that all-important calorie deficit. Examples: a high protein diet. If you eat a lot of protein, it keeps you fuller for longer. If you stay fuller for longer, it's going to suppress your appetite. If your appetite is suppressed, it's going to be easier to control your calories. Another support tool is drinking water. If you have a good level of hydration in the body, your energy levels will be good, which keeps you more motivated. Water is also a natural appetite suppressant. Water also takes up room in your stomach. More water in your stomach, less room for food. All those things combined are going to help you control your calories and stick to a calorie deficit. Mounjaro, GLP-1 injections, whether it's Saxenda, Ozempic or Mounjaro, they all are administered slightly different, but they all have the same end goal, and that is to help you control your calorie intake when it comes to weight loss. But I will repeat, it is just a support tool. It is not a cure. So, what is Mounjaro? Mounjaro is a GLP-1, and a GLP-1 is actually designed to mimic a hormone. It's to get your pancreas to either release the correct amount or produce the amount needed of insulin to help bring blood sugars down. It's basically a type 2 diabetic medication. So if you are type 2 diabetic, you have elevated levels of blood sugar. Now, when we eat anything, proteins, fats or carbs, our blood sugars go up. Certain foods make them go up a lot more than others, but whatever we eat, our blood sugars go up. Our pancreas releases a hormone called insulin that takes those blood sugars and transports them to our cells, mainly brain, liver and skeletal muscle, for it to be used as energy. Now, if you are what we call insulin resistant, your pancreas does not either release the right amount of insulin or doesn't produce the right amount of insulin to bring your blood sugars down. So if your blood sugars stay elevated for long periods of time, you will develop diabetes. And yeah, diabetes isn't good. I call it a silent disease because you do not realize the damage diabetes is doing to your body until it is too late. How do you end up insulin resistant? A lot of people think it's because you eat carbs, or if we break that down, it's because you eat sugar. It isn't. The main cause of insulin resistance is high levels of visceral fat in the body. Visceral fat is fat that sits in the center of the body. It surrounds our vital organs. And basically, the visceral fat in our midsection can suffocate. It doesn't quite work like that, but this is kind of like an easier way to kind of explain it. It can suffocate our organs and it stops them working correctly. And in terms of the pancreas, if your pancreas is surrounded by visceral fat, it's not going to work correctly. That causes a hormone imbalance. That hormone imbalance is your body not releasing or producing enough insulin to bring your blood sugars down. Eating sugar, which will raise your blood sugars up really high, is not an issue if you are not insulin resistant, and it does not cause diabetes. It's the visceral fat that causes the insulin resistance that causes diabetes. Now, if you have insulin resistance, eating a lot of sugar and bumping your blood sugars up, yes, that might be an issue. But if you don't have it, it's not an issue. You can consume sugar. You can actually consume sugar if you are type 2 diabetic. I'm not going to go into that. That will be for another podcast. But anyway, you take a GLP-1, send signals to the brain sends signals to the pancreas. Right, I know you're surrounded by visceral fat, but you need to shape up, chief, and get some insulin out to bring these blood sugars down. That's what it does. That is what it was designed for. But a side effect of it is people were losing weight on it. And everyone was like, why are people losing weight on these GLP-1 injections? And it's basically because it slows down the digestion of food. I've already mentioned high protein diet. A high protein diet is hard, or a high protein diet is filling because the body finds protein hard to break down. So it takes a while for it to break it down. Therefore, it sits in your tummy longer, slows down the digestion of food. Pretty much exactly the same thing as a GLP-1. Slowing down the digestion of food keeps you fuller for longer, and that helps you to control your calorie intake. There are also a lot of reports of people saying that not only does it slow down the digestion of food so you feel fuller, and you might think there's a bit of a crossover with this, and there kind of is, but there also kind of isn't. A lot of people also report that it reduces what we call food noise. Now, I saw someone on social media the other day having a right go at people using the term food noise. And people that have a go at other people using the term food noise do not understand addiction. What is food noise? Food noise is psychological hunger. It's your brain telling you to eat things even though you're not hungry. Well, that's what food noise is to me. And you get noise from any addiction. I'm going to lay it on the line here. I have been addicted to a lot of things, and I'm going to be really honest with you guys, and you might judge me from this in a more negative fashion, but I'm not that person anymore. I have changed my ways through my weight loss journey. But in my life, I have been addicted to gambling. I've been addicted to smoking. I've been addicted to alcohol, and I have been addicted to certain substances that you would buy in not buy, but would be imported from South America and wing their way over to this country. And I've also been addicted to food. Yeah, I've really abused my body in lots of different ways. And like I say, I'm not that person anymore. Every addiction I have had comes with noise. And that noise really ramps up when you try to control that addiction. So when I was 18, 19, I used to work in my local village pub. And for about 12 months, I got my wages on a Friday night. And by Saturday night, all my wages were in the fruit machine in the pub. And I was addicted to them. When I decided to quit fruit machines, I used to finish my shift. I would sit at the end of the bar, having a pint, and the fruit machine would talk to me. And you might be like, Neil, you're absolutely losing the plot here, Chief. And it didn't. It used to talk to me, telling me to come and play it. That was gambling noise in my head. And I can't even tell you, I used to, inside, be in pieces trying to resist going and playing that fruit machine. And I did give up a few times and go and give in. Give up, give in, and go and play that fruit machine. But eventually, I conquered that addiction. I actually learned to control it. I've been very, very good at learning to control addictions. Do I still gamble now? Yes. Do I gamble excessively? Absolutely not. I'll put 10 quid, 15 quid a week into my Paddy Power and I'll have a few football accumulators. That's it. I'll have a bit of a flutter if we ever go to the casino once in a blue moon. Other addictions that I've conquered, smoking. I started smoking when I was in my early 20s because someone told me it would suppress my appetite and help me lose weight. Nope, I stayed addicted to food. I just got addicted to smoking. I quit that in 2013. Alcohol, and I need you to understand there's different levels of addiction. So alcohol, I was an alcoholic. I didn't need a bottle of vodka to get out of bed, but I had issues with drinking too much. I used to go on the sesh every weekend pretty much. And like I say, other substances that go along with going on the sesh, I used to do those a lot as well. They kind of went hand in hand at the time. And in January 2014, just before I started my weight loss journey, I did dry January. Now, it seems nothing now. You know, I've not had a drink as I record this podcast. We're about halfway through February 25 when I'm recording this. And the last pint I had was New Year's Eve afternoon. I've not touched a drop since. I'm not planning on doing for a good 2 or 3 weeks going forward. But in January 2014, doing dry January was a big deal. And everyone doubted me and said I wouldn't do it. And while I did it, it was flipping hard. The pub talked to me. I don't know if it was the habit. Get your words out, Neil. I don't know if it was the habit of going to the pub or the alcohol or a bit of both. But yeah, I really, really struggled. But I did it for a month and I ticked it off. And I never actually went back into drinking in the same way as I did from doing that 1 month of dry January. Because then I started my weight loss journey. And in all honesty, you can't go on the sesh week in, week out if you're trying to control your calories and stick to a calorie deficit. So yeah, I've conquered, and I still drink alcohol now, but to the excess that I used to 12, 14, 16, 20 years ago, absolutely not. So I've conquered a few addictions in my time, and I've conquered food addiction. And I think unless you've been a food addict, you will struggle to have the empathy of people that do have food noise. And I had psychological food noise ringing around in my head for years. It's called emotional eating. Basically, I had a lot of stuff in my head. Stress, anger, fear, constantly. And the only distraction I had was food. So whenever I was stressed, I'd eat food because that would distract me from being stressed. Food would distract me from being lonely. Food would distract me from being scared. I was lonely because of my obesity. I was scared because of my obesity. I was angry because of my obesity. I was stressed because of my obesity. It was the root cause of a lot of issues for me. But one thing that took me away, took me to another place. And at the time, that's what gambling did. Drinking did it. and food did it, it took me to a different place, a place that wasn't reality, and I didn't want to face reality. Food noise is tough. It really is tough. And like I say, I think unless you've suffered with it, you can't have the empathy. I'm not saying people that have never had those issues can't be good coaches and help people on weight loss journeys, but I always think the best drug counsellors are ex-drug addicts. I think the best alcohol counsellors will be ex-alcoholics. I've just confessed there, I'm an ex-addict to a lot of things. And like I said, there's different levels of addiction. You know, I never needed a bottle of vodka to get out of bed, but I did drink way too much. Was I about as bad a food addict as you're going to get? Yeah, 100%. I don't think you can get to 37 stone if you're not. Anyway, yes, a lot of reports from my clients that are on Mounjaro, and when my clients were on Saxenda and Ozempic, they sort of said it did the same thing, but not as effectively. Not as effectively. But yeah, it reduces food noise. It reduces that want, that need to use food as a distraction. Why? I honestly don't know, but that is one of the effects of it. So obviously, if it slows down the digestion of food, so you get fuller quicker, or you don't feel you need as much food, and it helps with food noise, that is definitely going to be a great tool. And it is. It's a really good tool to help you stick to your calorie deficit. So where do you get Mounjaro and who can get it? Well, this is one of my issues, I suppose, with Mounjaro. Where can you get it? Everywhere. I literally put Mounjaro before into Google, and I mean, I've got it up now. MedExpress, Eli Lilly and Company, European Medicines Agency, Asda Pharmacy, Boots Online Doctor, Superdrug Online Doctor, Asda Online Doctor. Some of them I might have read out, might actually not be suppliers. Assured Pharmacy, Simple Online Pharmacy, Zavamed. Like, I've just literally typed Mounjaro into Google. A couple of those I've read out might actually just be websites talking about Mounjaro, but everywhere sells it. And why is it boomed over Saxenda? Why is it boomed over Ozempic? And I'll tell you why. It's the way it's administered and it's the side effects. So I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail, but those are the main reasons. The side effects under Mounjaro, although they're very similar to other weight loss injections, are a lot less severe, and it's administered a lot easier than the other weight loss injections out there. So that's one reason for the boom. Also, the way you take it once a week. So that's a different, sorry, I had to pause then. That is the difference in how it's administered to the other weight loss injections. Saxenda you take every day, same with the Ozempic. It might have changed now, but when I coached clients on it, they were taking it every single day. Mounjaro, you take it once a week. And that's obviously a lot easier to administer because something that you need to take every day. I take prescription meds every day for my arthritis. And it's hard to keep on top of remembering to take them every day. Would I absolutely love it if there was a med that came out where I could take it once a week and it just slowly released itself into my system, or it gave me a big hit in one and it sort of like weaned off towards the end of the week, which is kind of what Mounjaro does to save me having to take my weight loss injection. I don't take weight loss injections. To save me taking my prescription meds every day. Absolutely. 100%. So it's much easier to administer and the side effects seem a bit less than previous weight loss injections. And those are two big pros to it. I'm going to talk about other pros and I will mention those again shortly. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So who can take Mounjaro? Well, it's meant to be just people that have a BMI of 28 or more. So if your BMI is over 28, you qualify for Mounjaro. And this is one of the issues with it. there's no real regulation. I can click on now, like I say, Asda Pharmacy, Newman, Superdrug, Health Express. I can click on any of those, fill a form in, lie to make it look like my BMI is over 28 and get Mounjaro, right? Why is there no regulation around it? I think because obesity is such an issue in the UK, I don't think the government want it to be that regulated. Plus, because it is so popular, it is making a lot of money. So the more you regulate it, the less money is going to be going into the system because obviously tax is paid. So I think those are the couple of reasons, and there's no, at the moment, reported severe side effects, whoever takes it. Yeah, so that could be a worry for some people. It's a medication at the end of the day. I mentioned before, there's people all over social media promoting discount codes. When do we ever get to a point where a type 2 diabetic medication could be promoted like it's Amazon Prime Day? It's absolutely crazy. Again, I'm on here now. Newman was £195, was £195, now £125. Health Express was £179, now £119 for your first pen. Oxford Online Pharmacy, buy Mounjaro online in the UK for less than £138.99. It's become like an absolute who can undercut who to get people to buy these drugs. And like I say, anyone can lie on their form and get it. So you can get it anywhere. Just Google it. Google Mounjaro, pick a pharmacy, stick your details in, pay your money, and it'll be posted out to you. Or I assume, if you go Asda and there's a pharmacy in store, you can go and pick it up. So how do you take it? It's a pen that you jab into yourself like an EpiPen. And it tends to come preloaded with 4 doses. So basically you get a new pen every month, although there's always 4 weeks in a month, unless it's February. And you jab it into your skin. Now, when you administer it, you should put it in a different place each time. It doesn't mean a couple of months down the line, you might not use the same area. But for example, you might use your thigh 1 week, your bottom the next week, your forearm or your bicep the next week after that. And then you might go back to your thigh, you might use your left thigh, your right thigh. But you should do a different place each time. You should also try and avoid scar tissue. And that's the same with any, if you use any sort of EpiPen, to make sure it gets into your system. Okay. So let's talk about some pros. I have already talked about a couple of them. So what are the pros of Mounjaro? It's easy to take, right? I've already said in this podcast, you can suppress your appetite. How do I control my appetite? I've never took a weight loss injection, but from the start of my weight loss journey, I've been pretty decent at controlling my appetite. How do I control my appetite? As I've just said, I eat a high protein diet, I eat a high fiber diet, I drink lots of water. Those are the 3 main approaches I take to control my appetite. I also try and consume quite a lot of what we call volume food. So I always have a lot of veg on my plate or a lot of salad. I eat quite a bit of fruit. So foods that are low calorie, high volume, I consume a lot of those. And that helps me to naturally control my appetite. But does it take effort? Yeah, it really does. Is the effort worth it? For me personally, 100%, because I've gone from being 37 stone to losing half my body weight and changing my life. But for others, the effort doesn't seem to be worth it, or they struggle to be consistent with it. And is it easier to jab a pen into your body once a week than plan a high protein diet, a high fiber diet? Make sure you're drinking lots of water. If you're watching this podcast, I am literally surrounded by bottles of water everywhere. And that's just my habits now of my life. But that is harder to do than, like I say, jabbing a pen. So it's very easy to administer to get that appetite suppression. Why has it boomed over Saxenda and Ozempic, Wegovy was another one. Like I say, the side effects are a lot less severe. It's easy to administer. You don't have to jab it in every single day. And it's cheaper. When my clients were on Saxenda in 22, they were paying £300 a month for their weight loss injections. As I've just said there, a lot of places here are advertising your first pen for £119. Now, you need to understand that though, that is for what you would call your loading dose. So when you first start taking Saxenda, you will take 2.5 milligrams and they call that a loading dose. So it's basically a small dose to get your body used to taking it. A bit like taking a vaccine. You kind of, with a vaccine, you take your flu jab and they inject a little bit of flu into your system and your body fights off that flu and gets used to it. So don't get me wrong, it's not triggering an immune response, but you put a little bit of something in and your body learns what it is. And then if a more severe dose of flu comes, your body kind of knows how to fight it. It won't fully stop you getting flu, but it should make the effects of it less severe. And that's kind of why you put a loading dose of Mounjaro in. If you went straight in at a high dose, the side effects would be a lot more severe. So you put a loading dose in and then you ramp it up. So it goes up in 2.5 milligram increments. So you start on 2.5, then you'll be on 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15, up to a maximum, I think, don't 100% quote me on this, but I think the maximum is 17.5. It was 15, but I know now I have seen people doing 17.5 milligrams. The bigger the dose in the pen you've got, the dearer it gets. So if you're at £119 for your loading dose, again, don't quote me on this, I'm just plucking numbers out of thin air. But if you're at £119 for your loading dose, then your 5 milligram dose might be 150. Your 7.5 might be 180 and so on and so forth. The bigger the dose, the more expensive it will get. What other pros are there? So it's easy to administer, certainly compared to other GLP-1s. It's cost effective, certainly compared to other GLP-1s. And if it stops you eating a lot of food, it will kind of pay for itself. I always say that about my plan. There's nothing as expensive as being overweight, right? A lot of people might say, no, health food's dead expensive. Right, when I started my weight loss journey, I used to spend 200 quid a week, about £200 a month at the supermarket, but I used to spend about £600 to £800 on eating out and takeaways. When I started my weight loss journey, I started spending £400 a month at the supermarket, so my shopping bill went up, but my takeaway eating out bill went to about £100 a month. So when we look at our overall spend on food, we should not just include what we spend at Tesco or Aldi. So what you spend at Tesco and Aldi, Just Eat, Nando's, McDonald's, Starbucks, anything that goes in your trap is your spend on food, right? And that will massively reduce on a weight loss journey. So yeah, it could probably kind of pay for itself in a way. Will it? That's down to you and how much it suppresses your appetite. But it is fairly cost effective compared to other GLP-1s. And I suppose the big pro is, if you get your dosage right, it will help you to control your calories and stick to a calorie deficit. And if you stick to a calorie deficit consistently, you will lose weight. What are the cons? There are side effects. So although side effects of Mounjaro are less severe than Saxenda, like I had clients on Saxenda that got so nauseous they couldn't move off the sofa. They had to have days off work. And that's kind of why it fizzled out, because it just wasn't a practical thing to take day in, day out for weeks on end. People on Mounjaro do get nausea. As your dosage ramps up, that nausea will get worse. But from all reports, I've never taken a GLP-1, by the way, just to be totally transparent. This is just me looking at online content and the feedback I'm getting from the clients I'm working with. The nausea doesn't seem to be anywhere near as severe as previous weight loss injections. But you do get nausea. Constipation is a common one. You'll get very uncomfortable trying to go to the toilet. Because of that, you also get what we call, this is a bit disgusting, sulfur burps, because you get a lot of rubbish sat, not moving anywhere. You can basically burp stuff back up the other way, which is a little bit minging. Headaches is a common one. I hear a lot of people that have never ever suffered with headaches before have them on the injection. And again, that's the same for all GLP-1s. And fatigue can be quite fatiguing. So if you're someone now that struggles with energy and moving, it could affect that even worse. So those seem to be the main side effects. So those are the cons. Another con is the cost. So I've just said there, it's very cost effective compared to other weight loss injections. And I've also said it should kind of pay for itself. But sometimes we don't see it like that. It's not like, I quit smoking. And when I quit smoking, I never felt any better off, because what I used to spend on cigarettes, I just spent on other stuff. And that's kind of going to be the same. It's not like, oh, my shopping bill's massively reduced now, and that will pay for, it's not like if you used to go to the supermarket and spend 150 quid and now you're spending 125 quid, or you used to spend £300 a month on Just Eat and now you spend £200 a month, you automatically take that £100 out and put it to one side to pay for your Mounjaro. It doesn't quite work like that. It will come up as an extra expense each month that you need to find. And as you ramp up, it is going to get dearer and dearer and dearer. So if you're struggling to pay for the early dosages, 2.5 mil, 5, 7.5, when you need to get to 10, 12.5, 15, you're going to find it quite spenny. And you will have to ramp up. Why? Because you will build up a tolerance to the suppression. Okay. I've not actually talked about how the suppression works. So basically with Mounjaro, you take it once a week, and your first 3 days that it's in your system, that is when your suppression is at its highest, and then it will start to fade off, getting ready for your next dose. So let's say you start on 2.5 milligrams, you take 2.5 milligrams on a Sunday night or a Monday morning. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, your suppression is going to be at its highest, right? Thursday, Friday, you're going to feel like, oh, it's not quite where it was, so you might need a few more calories in there. And then Saturday, Sunday, you're going to have to work at controlling those calories quite a bit more yourself rather than allowing the medication to do it. Then you take your next dose and bang, that suppression will be straight back. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll find it good. And then it'll ease off again as you go through the week. Now, generally, you'll take your 2.5 milligrams for 4 weeks and they'll ramp you straight up to 5, right? So once you've done that loading phase for 4 weeks, you'll go up to 5. I have heard a lot of pharmacies just ramping people up every 4 weeks. So you do 5 for 4, 7.5 for 4. Why? Because the more you take, the more you spend. And that is wrong. Once you've done your 2.5 mil 4-week loading dose, as soon as you get onto 5 mil, only increase your dosage when you really feel your appetite is suppressing. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. This was meant to be in my tips and tricks bit or in my advice. But anyway, you know me, it all mulches into one. But anyway, when you're up to 5 milligram, I would only recommend then upping your dose when you take your jab and really you're feeling the same on a Wednesday. Let's say you take it Sunday night, Monday morning, which is a common one. You're feeling the same on a Wednesday as you normally do on a Saturday going into Sunday. That's when, because your body builds up an immunity to it, then increase your dose. Because the honest truth is, if you go 2.5, 1 month, 5, 2 months, 7.5, 3, 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5, 7 months in, you're on maximum dose, right? Your body will build up an immunity and then it won't work, right? I think the longest you recommended to take it for is 2 years, and you want to eke it out to maybe last that long. You might not need to be on it that long before you get to your goal, but, you know, the quicker you ramp it up, the more you're going to get used to it, your body's going to get used to it, the less that suppression's going to work, and eventually it's just going to be pointless taking it. So anyway, you administer it. That's another con. Pharmacies are pushing people to up their dose way too quickly just to get money out of you. Because I think what they actually realise is a lot of people are going to struggle to be on it for a long period of time. So it's kind of like, let's make hay while the sun shines. So there's obviously, you know, physical side effects. There's obviously spending side effects as well, because it's not the cheapest thing in the world. Are there any other cons? I'm just trying to think, really. Yeah, I think the final con is there's a lack of education around it, like a lot of weight loss methods. And I think a lot of people think it is a miracle cure, not a tool. And what a lot of people don't understand is at some point in time, you're going to have to come off it, just like where you might reduce any weight loss method. And a lot of people will stop using it and end up back at square one, because I genuinely think, like with anything, there's just a massive lack of education. When you sign up to get Mounjaro, there should be someone there to help guide you. But again, I've heard reports, it's just so popular at the moment that pharmacies are struggling to keep up with the demand of giving support. So their option is, oh, I'm struggling a little bit, here, have a bigger pen. Here, have a bigger pen. So, yeah. And this is my honest feelings about it. I think there's a massive lack of regulation around it. And it is an issue. Should I go into my issues with Mounjaro? Yeah. And again, I don't have any issues with people taking it. Like I say, I think it can be a great tool if used in the right way. But one of my big issues is this lack of regulation. You are going to end up with a lot of people using it in the wrong way, right? Lack of regulation, lack of support. I suppose there's a crossover. A lot of people using it in the wrong way, just thinking it is a cure. They'll take it for 6 months, maybe get to their goal weight, stop taking it. Next thing, old habits come straight back into place, and boom, they're in the same situation as they were, and your weight loss injection just becomes another fad diet to add to the list of failed diets. Slimming World, Slim Fast, Cambridge, Keto, the list is endless. I also think the lack of regulation means a lot of people are going to be on it that don't need it. Now, this also stops people getting it because there has been some supply issues. I think they're all kind of sorted out now, but you know, people that are using it, they don't need to use it. There'll be people just grabbing pens left, right, and centre because they want to be half a stone lighter because they're going to Ibiza in a few weeks. I've seen a weight loss coach. I'm not going to name any names, but I've seen a weight loss coach from the northeast of England claiming to have used it for a few weeks. And he says he used it because he wanted to build the best plan for his clients that were going on it. Did he actually use it? I have no idea, but he said, you know, a few people have questioned him saying you're only meant to get a Mounjaro pen if you have a BMI of 28 or more, and he claims his BMI is 28 or more. And I'm like, I'm looking at the size of him, like my BMI is 31. I'm 6'5". I'm just over 19 stone. And I look at him, and I don't know how tall he is, but I'm like, yeah, you carry a decent amount of muscle, mate, but I'd be very questionable to whether your BMI is 28 or more. So he's either lied to get it, right? Or he hasn't got it and he's just said he's had it to make people buy his plan. But anyway, whether he has a BMI of 28 or more, he shouldn't be taking it. It's not designed, I mean, it's designed for type 2 diabetics, but it's not designed for people that are lean, that are fit and healthy. And he claimed he took it for a month and lost 12 pounds in a month. And it would take him 3 months normally to lose that amount of weight. But it's like, why are you advertising as a fit and healthy individual that is lean, that doesn't look like they've ever had any weight issues whatsoever? And they might have done, I don't know that. Advertising taking this pen, this medication. So that's another issue with it. Anyone can get hold of it. I also think there's a lack of regulation on when people should be coming off it. Because again, I know a lot of people that are using it that might have started off with a BMI of 28 or more, but have lost a lot of weight and they're still able to get it even though their BMI is clearly under 28. So yeah, that is my big issue with it. I absolutely hate the fact there are promotion codes out there. This is a medication at the end of the day. You know, when people are pushing people to take a medication just to get 10% commission from them, again, that's absolutely bonkers to me. People can't get it on prescription. So people that don't have much disposable income, and unfortunately there is a very common trend with low income households having a lot of issues with their weight, are unable to get it because there is very limited funding on the NHS to get it. And I suppose that's because it is designed as a diabetic medication and not as a weight loss medication, though that seems to be what it's more commonly used for nowadays. So yeah, I've got issues with how it's promoted, how people are using it, how it's regulated. But I certainly don't have any issues with people that are using it. Would I rather clients or people lose weight naturally? 100%, because whether you're taking Mounjaro or not, a weight loss journey, a successful weight loss journey, not successful weight loss. Remember, I always talk about the difference between this. Successful weight loss is losing weight. You could eat 1,000 calories a day for 2 months, lose 2 stone, you've lost weight, and you think you've been successful. A successful weight loss journey is losing weight and putting the things into place in your lifestyle to not only lose the weight, but once you've got your goal weight, your lifestyle is at a point where it's going to allow you to quite comfortably and naturally, it doesn't mean you're not going to have to work at it and put effort in, but you've built the habits into your lifestyle that's going to allow you to maintain those losses. And again, I think a lot of people, lack of education around it, see it as a cure, not as a tool. And that's why people work with me on Mounjaro. If you want, I don't sell a GLP-1 plan. It's calorie deficit, but can I change your plan to accommodate what you need to do, some extra little bits and pieces you need to do to have weight loss success while using Mounjaro? Of course, because that's what I've done with my 12 clients that are currently on it, right? But if you don't think you still need to learn about calorie intake, you still need to learn self-control around food, you don't need to start moving more on a day-to-day basis, you don't need to improve your overall diet, and you're going to have long-term weight loss success, a successful weight loss journey while taking Mounjaro, you're sadly mistaken. The same package that I try and get my clients to put into place, whether they're on a weight loss injection or not, needs to be put into place. What you also need to do, and this might be a bit of a negative of Mounjaro, because I've already said a lot of people are reporting that it reduces food noise, that psychological hunger, that need to use food as a distraction, as a coping mechanism for life. That sounds to me like a lot of people are going to be sweeping their emotions under the carpet. And again, when you come off Mounjaro, and you will do, everyone has to come off it at some point, are these emotions then going to come out from under the rug and haunt you again, and then you're going to slip back into old habits? I fear that that is going to be the case for the majority of people on it. I think they're going to be absolutely buzzing, you know, clapping their hands, doing a little jig for the weight they're losing. And so they should, because they're losing weight, and that is absolutely amazing. But I think, you know, this has only been out for a very short period of time. I think 2, 3, 4 years down the line, there's going to be so many more stories of people that have done it, lost weight on it, and now won't do it again. Same as Slimming World, same as Weight Watchers, because it didn't give them the long-term success that we all crave. That every single one of you listening or watching this podcast now will be able to tell me, I lost 3 stone in 2019. You know, in 2014, I was a size 10. In COVID, I lost 6 stone. But there is always a reason, well, there's a big reason why you've gone back to where you were. And that's because a lot of weight loss methods don't sort of tackle the overriding issues, and that is your lifestyle and your head, right? And sticking Mounjaro into your system each week is not tackling your lifestyle, it's not tackling your head. Now, if you're tackling your lifestyle and tackling your head and using Mounjaro, very good chance you're going to have a successful weight loss journey alongside the other support tools that I promote. Fiber, protein, drinking water, maybe doing a little bit of exercise, trying to prioritize a good night's sleep. Tips and tricks from Mounjaro. I'm fully aware this is quite a long podcast. I knew it was going to be. There was a lot to cover. I've probably missed quite a few bits, but I think I've covered a good few bases. Tips, tricks, advice. Well, I've kind of just covered them there. Please don't think of it as a cure. It is a tool. Count your calories alongside it. So count your calories alongside it. Work out your calorie allowance and make sure you're in a calorie deficit. Look, the suppression is going to be a bit tricky. I've had clients that have come to me and I'm like, right, this is your calorie allowance, 2,300. They're on it, they're on 5 milligrams. They're like, I'm struggling to eat more than 1,800 a day. That's fine. There's always going to be a bit of a suck it and see at the start, a little bit of trial and error, but track your calories, see where you're at, right? Track your calories, see where you're at with your calorie intake, because this is going to then give you some inkling for when you do come off it to where you should be actually with your calorie consumption. Still make that lifestyle change. Don't just go, all right, I used to eat Frosties. I used to eat, Mackies every day. I used Frosties for my breakfast, Mackies every day for my dinner, and a frozen pizza every day for my tea. Now I eat Frosties, Mackies every day for my dinner, and a frozen pizza for my tea. But because I'm in Mounjaro, I just eat less of each. That is not how you have a successful weight loss journey. So make sure you are changing your lifestyle, eating better, eating healthier. I've talked about the suppression. The suppression is really strong for 3 days. So you need to be aware of that. So you might plan, whether you're on Mounjaro or not, you should still be enjoying a little bit of life. If you either do weight loss or life, you're going to fail at both, right? So you still need to be enjoying a little bit of life. So if you're someone that, for whatever reason, you like to have a takeaway with the kids on a Saturday night, you probably want to, time your injection to allow you to do that. Now, likewise, if a weekend is when you really, really struggle to control your calories, then maybe, if you took your injection on a Wednesday morning, you'd have very high suppression Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Your suppression would start to ease Saturday, Sunday, but it would still be there. So if you're going to have a Chinese on a Saturday night, that is going to help you control that calorie dense meal. And then Monday, Tuesday, I'm back at work. I'm in that 9 to 5 routine. I find it really easy to control my calories anyway on a Monday, Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday is never the issue, Neil. It's Saturday, Sunday that's the issue. So Saturday, Sunday, you might want those to be your highest suppression days, or you might want them to be your middle suppression days to allow a bit of food freedom. Likewise, you might be like, no, I still want to enjoy my weekends, Neil. I still want to go out for a meal on a Saturday night. I still want to enjoy a right good Sunday roast with the family and a bit of apple crumble and custard. Then that might be the time to take your injection on a Monday morning. And like I say, your suppression is going to be at its lowest on Sunday. So, and structure your calories to support that. So you might have really low calories. I don't know, maybe 1,000 a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when that suppression's high. Maybe 1,300 a day. I'm not telling people to eat 1,000 calories a day on average. I'm talking about your suppression. But then on a Saturday, Sunday, when your suppression's kind of non-existent, you might have 3,000 calories, 3,500. You still need to stick to that all-important calorie deficit, but you can have higher days and lower days, even doing Mounjaro. Also accept there might be some trial and error with that. You might try taking it on a Monday and your weekends might be crazy. So then don't do your next injection until Tuesday or Wednesday. So you might do Monday for your injection and it's just not working. You're struggling to control your calories because your suppression's so low at the weekend. So then instead of taking it again Sunday night and Monday morning, give it a couple of days and then take it Tuesday morning. So your suppression's high Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, And then Friday, Saturday, your suppression's still pretty decent. So just accept there might be a little bit of trial and error until you find the ideal day to take it. Don't ramp up too quickly. If your appetite is being suppressed on 5 milligram, even if you've been on it for 3 months, stick on it, right? Only really start to think about upping your meds from your loading dose at 2.5. Yeah, do that after 4 weeks. That's absolutely fine. But only, think about increasing your dose if what you normally feel on a Saturday, Sunday, if you take it Monday morning, if that starts to be Wednesday, then that's probably a sign that you need to up your dose. Likewise, don't leave it too long before upping that dose. Maybe there's a little bit of a bit of balance, a bit of a fine line between it, because if you keep on 5 milligram, it's pointless taking it if there's zero suppression. Yeah. Obviously, those side effects, make sure you're drinking your water. Constipation is a big one and it is very, very uncomfortable. So you can maybe look at, please don't over abuse these, but you might need to look at finding some sort of laxative to ease the situation, increasing some fibre in your diet, make sure your hydration is good, because the last thing you want is to be bloated and uncomfortable and struggling going to the toilet, because that'll also get quite frustrating, because if you're getting backed up, that will reflect on the scales and you feel like you're losing nothing, but it's not. It's because what's coming in here, the waste, isn't coming out the other end, and we don't want that, right? So just watch out for those side effects. In terms of the nausea, and mint's really good for nausea, also really good for those sulfur burps. So maybe some sugar-free mints knocking about, they'll also help with those laxative properties if you're having a few of them as well. So mints are really good. Mints are really good for settling the stomach, and they're also really good for nausea as well. So that's also something to just consider. Have I got any other tips and tricks alongside it? I suppose the big one is, if you are struggling, and I'm not doing this podcast as a promotion for you to come and work with me, but if you are on Mounjaro and you still want to come onto my one-to-one plan, you can do, right? Or join my community. Like I say, I've got about 12 clients at the moment that are on Mounjaro. I've actually just set up a private WhatsApp group. So I have a WhatsApp community, and in that WhatsApp community are several WhatsApp groups, one for general chit chat, one for recipes and food, and another one for like weight loss Q&As. Well, I've actually set up a dedicated Mounjaro or GLP-1 chat group. So you can come in and chat to other people that are on in a private, moderated environment. So you can come and chat to other people that are on any type of weight loss injection. Like I say, it's going to be a GLP-1 group. So if someone decides to go on to Ozempic or Wegovy or Saxenda, they can go in there as well. So that might be a good support tool. And you'll get access to that whether you're in my community or you are on my one-to-one plan. I'll put all the details in the description of the podcast anyway, if you want to come and get on board. I know it's a long one, but I thought it was going to be. I think I've just about covered anything. Guys, if there's something I haven't covered, if you have got further questions, then please get it in the comments. Or like I say, come and join my community. I've never, full transparency, I've never taken it, or any weight loss injection. I've never used any weight loss injection, but I feel the effort I put into research, the stuff I watch, and again, my experience of working with a lot of people that have been on them, I think it gives me the experience and the qualifications, if I'm being honest with you, to talk about it. And you'll only ever get the truth from me. You will never get, I've got no hidden agendas whatsoever. Anyway, there you go. That is everything I feel you need to know about Mounjaro. There's definitely something I've missed, but anyway, that'll do for another one. There we go. As I always say, until next time, whether it's just the podcast you watch or you get involved in all my online content, you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Till the next time I see you, whether you're taking a GLP-1 injection or not, make sure you are bossing your weight loss.